Donald Trump selects
another one?
JD Vance is the VP.
Another white pill.
JD Vance, this is actually, we got advanced warning because I guess government vehicles showed up to his house the other day. And then people tried...
special motorcade.
Yeah, and people tried playing it off like, it's not going to be him. That was something else. And it's like, Donald Trump faces an assassination attempt, and the U.S. government immediately rushes to JD Vance's house. We know who the VP pick is. Well, and now it's official.
Now you know why Predicted limits their bets to $850, because with that type of... No, it's a white pill. I'm sorry.
But I do want to mention this because we were at the RNC earlier today, and we're hanging out at one of the little pub eateries in the big complex where they're doing everything. And I'm like, well, we're gonna stick around because Trump's supposed to make his announcement at some point, and we're assuming he's gonna come here and someone's gonna come on stage. Nah, he just posted on Truth. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting there eating cheeseburgers, and it's like he just posted it. All right, let's go back to the studio and we'll head back. But what do you guys think? JD Vance, good call.
Well, I really just want to thank President Donald Trump for confirming my months-long prediction that this would be the selection. You're really doing me a solid, President Trump. I appreciate it. No, I mean, I think JD Vance is such an interesting pick, partially because so many Americans know him because of Hillbilly Elegy, which I just think it had... publishing is sort of a dying industry in the day and age of social media, but that book had such a profound impact on the American public. And this was before he was in the Senate. It's about his, I'm sure all of you know, but it's about his life growing up in Ohio and Kentucky. It's about his family, the dysfunction that was there, the influence of opioids and alcohol, and his rise through, the challenging circumstances he was in, into the Marine Corps, to Ohio State, to Yale Law, to Silicon Valley, working with Peter Thiel. I mean, now, Senate VP pick. It's fascinating. And for me, when I worked in Connecticut after college at a very, elite boarding school, it's all girls. And I worked with, feminists, Democrats, people who never would ever vote for Trump. And they talked about JD Vance because he had opened their eyes to a world and community that they just had no access to. And I don't think that is that can be understated as an impact and influence for his campaign. Of course, there are things you can complain about in terms of his record. Of course, I want to know what he would do about birthright citizenship and some other immigration questions. But I think it's a really interesting choice, especially from the man who gained prominence on The Apprentice.
Politically, I don't think any of Trump's VP picks was going to be significant. In 2016, I think he needed to choose Mike Pence to shore up the evangelical vote and give him more credibility from the establishment. But now he doesn't need any of that credibility. Trump is the Republican Party, so any vice president would do. I don't think JD Vance being his VP pick is winning over any additional voters. I think there needs to be some interesting politics at play with the governor now appointing the former junior senator to be JD Vance. Who was the governor against?
DeWine is the governor in Ohio. And I mean, we've talked about this, if it opens up, maybe he'll appoint Vivek Ramaswamy because he's also from Ohio. I mean, it is interesting that Trump picked someone who everyone points out is a never Trumper. I mean, it's not insignificance, the sort of transformational.
That's unity.
Story.
That's what that is. Well, that is unity.
What it is, I think there
unity with the never Trumpers.
Well, there's a good joke in there that there's no you in their unity, but okay, bada bing. His VP pick was absolutely critical, because it needs to be assassination insurance. And there were a number of his VP picks who were not only
I saw a lot of tweets about this.
If you want assassination insurance, you pick Steve Bannon. JD Vance is not giving you enough of that insurance.
Eric Prince everywhere.
I disagree with that, but there were some people being floated who would be the exact opposite of assassination insurance. They would be a deep state reward for taking Trump out. Tim Scott, Warhol would be one of them. As far as I understood, the consensus was that Burgum also would be a useful replacement to Trump. JD Vance is a populist. He's good for food freedom. He's good for medical freedom. And he would not be any more of a pleasant substitute for Trump to the presidency. And there's a reason why the worst people on earth right now are freaking out over JD Vance.
How do you justify his past comments being a never Trumper?
Who gives a sweet bugger all what he said in 2016?
Well, it means he wasn't loyal from the beginning.
No,
and it means that he could have waited. And it means he could have just looked at the political trends of the time and I'm just going to follow in Trump's footsteps.
Or it means he's got a half-functioning brain and has seen that the world today is not the same world that it was in 2016.
He spoke about this tonight when he was talking to Sean Hannity, and he said, I was certainly skeptical of Donald Trump in 2016, but President Trump was a great president, and he changed my mind. And I think he changed the minds of a lot of Americans because, again, he delivered that peace and prosperity. I mean, he changed my mind. I wasn't pro-Trump in 2016.
I didn't vote for him in 2016.
But you were never Trumper? Or, I mean, that's the thing. Never Trump, and now he's his VP pick. Good
I
for him, but
turns out he's more open-minded than he thought he was.
I literally said I will never vote for Donald Trump over and over again.
Pretty sure Michael Rappaport has been calling Trump pig DICK
It's
for
on
last
the table.
and now it's on the table.
It's on the table.
No, he took it off the table.
He did?
He did take it off the table.
He's not going to.
What an idiot.
For all the people who say that.
I always knew Rappaport was an idiot.
Until 2020. I was like, I will not vote for the guy. I was like, you guys, I understand why people like him. I'm not going to vote for him. It is what it is. And then late in 2020, when he released his second term agenda, I had a real conversation with some friends about it. I had been reporting on what was going on with him. And I said, I can't look at what's going on with wokeness, DEI, see Donald Trump attempting to stop it, and argue I would vote against it. I can't see what he did with getting our troops out of Syria, trying to at least, and trying to get a timeline for getting out of Afghanistan and argue against it. In fact, when you look at his 4 years, I had been saying the whole time, he's crass, he's crude, he lacks decorum. I wouldn't vote for the guy. And then I saw what he did in North Korea. And then I saw what he did with the Abraham Accords. And I was like, this guy needs 4 more years.
I thought
now he needs 4 more years. I'll say it right now.
I also think that JD Vance is like, look, I am always hesitant when people have ever uttered the words never Trump. I think we have like PTSD from so many people who have stabbed Trump in the back. But I do think it's funny that you bring up Steve Bannon. I would totally co-sign on Steve as VP. But I think there are actually some interesting similarities between Steve and JD Vance. And what I mean by that is that if you look at their background, right, they came from, family situations that were working class, or in JD's case, a little bit less than that, right? Hillbilly elegy. They worked their way up. They served in the military. They went to prestigious schools. They had the nice, cushy, venture capitalist investment banking jobs. But in many ways, they're class traitors in the sense that they left that world to become true, I think, to their core fire-breathing populist types. And I think that men who are willing to walk away from that and kind of return back and fight for the common man, the American people, I think that speaks volumes. And I think that you see it in his actions. And frankly, I hope that President Trump has JD Vance, tackle and focus on issues like immigration, like ending what's going on in Ukraine, because you know what? JD Vance wants to have a political future, and he knows that he will not if he doesn't administer and get that border under control, if he doesn't stop the continuous flow of U.S. taxpayer dollars to Ukraine. I think that there's sort of an interesting chance with him to really make sure that he adheres to the MAGA base, because you know what? He has to prove himself. And frankly, I think it's better to have it'd be great to have someone who's, just like Trump and copies everything that he does, but we can't clone him yet. But you have someone who has to prove themselves. And I think that you can maybe in some ways find a silver lining there, because I think he's going to work in lockstep, and he's not going to be a traitor like Pence was.
I think he really speaks to the theme that is common in some parts of the right of redemption. It's obviously a Christian theme, but people love that on the right. And JD Vance is having that opportunity at redemption, and Trump supporters are embracing him. And it's good for him. One of the other key things here that I think we might be overlooking too soon, this informally makes JD Vance the successor to the MAGA movement as Trump's
if
VP
he
on
performs, not
in a term where Trump will be termed out, but informally. I'll say for now, he has the mantle more than anybody else on the right as, the MAGA successor, which will be significant in a post-Trump landscape. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, I think that you're right. It does put him at the forefront of the circle, but it still leaves room for a ton of people to do interesting things. I mean, the governorships, the state, the senators, the congressional roles that are...
Trump picked me to be his second in case anything happened to me. I think it's
significant. I think it's significant, but I think we have 4 years, and there are a lot of really talented people who could carry this. I mean, that's part of the nice thing about populism, right? Like, we don't have to look for the federal government for everything. And I think the criticism of JD Vance's past comments are important. I think this is one of the things that we now are in a position to do as people who, if you think of yourself as an America First person, if you think of yourself as someone who wants this more, this worldview to kind of spread and grow, is to say, what are we willing to do in terms of redemption, and also what are our standards for the people who are saying, well, actually, I want back in. I think that I want to be back on this train.
So there's hope for Nikki? There's hope for Nikki Haley?
She's
Christian. She's Christian.
Elad's fingers are crossed over here.
I will say...
she thought she was going to be the presidential nominee at the convention. If the plan had gone according...
I have to make this official now. Will Chamberlain formally owes money to a charity of my choosing. Aww. So he bet me it was going to be Nikki Haley, and I said, no way, it's not. And he said, gentleman's bet. And so the agreement is he would make a contribution to a charity. if it was not Nikki. And when Trump came out and said it's definitely not Nikki, he agreed that he lost. I said, no, we have to wait because Trump just saying it's not enough. But now it's official. And so we'll find something good, maybe something for veterans or like Tunnels to Towers or something.
I just want to say one thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump down your throat when you brought up the Never Trumper from 2016. I've been hearing that all day. You can't penalize evolution. You can't penalize evolution. You can penalize hypocrisy.
Can you reward loyalty then?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, then let's reward loyalty then.
Well, I don't know
for somebody who was never a never Trumper.
I don't know. Well, I don't know what that would
for an
look like.
always Trumper.
But
Trump
I'll just say,
Jr.
well, first of all,
Trump 2024.
I heard people on the internet floating the idea that it was going to be Barron as the VP.
Suddenly the U.S. would be Trump and son.
The quote here, put it on a mug, is you can penalize hypocrisy, but you can't penalize evolution, because if you do, you're basically forcing people to stubbornly stick to their views that they no longer hold. And so I reward evolution if it's sincere, and I will penalize hypocrisy if they bounce around like a
Redemption is a beautiful thing.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.